Okay, now I'm going to show you how to configure repeater host to use the RPM from Quintessential Universal Building Device as a CNC machine. So I'm going to go and launch repeater host. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and configure another device. So you can see that I already have the printer name up here as RPM 3D printer. I am actually going to change this now to RPM mill so that I have a unique configuration for it. I always make it a point when I come in here, make sure that your RPM is plugged in and click on refresh ports. That way if it's on a different serial port, you can come in here and find it. The only one I have is COM3. The default settings are 250,000 for the speed, and you can leave auto detect. You can leave the rest of this the same. Now you're going to click on the printer tab, and you can take a look at these. Once again, these are these are all standard, and you can leave them as standard. What you might want to do for the mill is you can uncheck the check extruder and bed temperatures, since when you're milling, that is irrelevant. Printer shape. In here, you're going to want to enter the X max is 290, Y max 250. Once again, 290, 250, and 250 for the dimensions. And right here for the printer type, it says classic printer. You're going to come in here and say CNC router. Now this is going to give you another option at the bottom. Object Z top position 0. Leave it at 0. That's standard for CNC milling. Under advanced, once again, there's nothing special to do here. So you can just click OK. And now you have everything configured for CNC milling. What you can do to test it is come up here and click on Connect. Okay, it is successfully connected to the device. I'm going to come here and under Config, the thing that we need to do with Config is we need to come down here to Firmware EEPROM configuration. And what we're looking for is acceleration. So if you scroll down, you can see we've got X acceleration at 100, Y at 100, and Z at 75. What you're going to want to do is take all of these numbers down to 50. And to do that, all you do is click on the number and change it to 50. And that's all you need to do. What you may want to do first is you may want to export the EEPROM data, since the data here is RPM. Will be consistent with the other video, 3D. RPM 3D printer, and you can save those. And then you can come in here and change this to 50. And 50. And click on OK. And now you've changed the acceleration so that you're doing so that you can do CNC milling. Basically, you're reducing the acceleration because there's a lot more mass when you have the spindle on here. And the next thing you want to do is once again just come in and make sure that things can move. The origin 000 on the RPM is the front left corner. So if the back panel is facing away from you, that's the panel that has the power supply on it. The origin is the left corner that's closest to you. So the front left corner and all the way down to the bottom is 0, but 0 is slightly different, has a slightly different meaning when you're talking CNC milling. So if you take a look at where the spindle is, right now my spindle is roughly in the center of the device, so I can move in pretty much any direction. If it's at the origin, you're only going to want to make positive movements. So if I click on X10, it's going to move the spindle 1 centimeter to the right. And sure enough, it moved it 1 centimeter to the right. So I am good to go, and I am all set to do my CNC milling. Since I use this to do a lot of printing, what I'm going to do before I exit is I'm going to come back into my firmware. And I am going to import my, first thing I'm going to do, pardon me, I made those changes. I am going to export the changes again. That way I'll have a nice config file for it, and I'll say RPM mill. And just so I'm good to go the next time I 3D print, I'm going to load my printing ROMs back up. And there we go. That should have you all set. You can disconnect and you're all set for milling with your RPM.